What does your Jira Cloud disaster recovery plan look like? If you're like most people, you probably don't have one because this is a cloud product, right? So why would you need one? If something bad ever happens, like you accidentally delete something, well, you just call up Atlassian and get your data back, right? Well, it doesn't quite work that way. And so today we're going to be walking you through how to recover your issues or your project or even configurations if and when disaster strikes. If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel, drop a like, and don't forget to check out the link in the description down below, as you definitely want to start a free 30-day trial to Revyz Data Manager for Jira, and you want to do this before disaster strikes. So when disaster strikes, it can happen in one of two different ways. Either number one, Atlassian has a hiccup themselves, as in they have some sort of corruption in their data, or maybe they just have an outage, or the more likely scenario is going to be that you or someone on your team accidentally, and I do put accidentally in air quotes because Atlassian warns you many, many times when you're about to do something that is undoable, right? But let's just say you accidentally delete a project and the issues within that project, and then you go above and beyond and you even delete some configurations. And what do you do next? Because unless you have one of these manual backups that Atlassian allows you to do, and even then it's a very, very difficult and challenging process, right? So unless you have something already done for you, right, you've made copies or whatever, it's not going to be pretty for you. But luckily for you, as I mentioned earlier, you have Revyz installed in your Jira environment, and you have been doing nightly backups. So I'm going to show you how easy it is to recover when a disaster strikes. So let's jump into Jira and let's walk through a real world scenario. So here I am in a company managed software project, and I want to show you a couple of things before my disaster strikes. Number one, I'm going to show you that I have a custom issue type. So as you can see here, this is my Apple issue type. Yes, I'm a big Apple fanboy. And this is something that's not out of the box, right? So I went in and customized this project to include a very custom issue type. Additionally, over here, you can see that I have a favorite animal, a penguin, right? And so these two configurations are going to be tied with the project. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to delete the project, and I'm also going to delete the configurations. Now, watch what happens here, right? So if I'm going to go to my projects over here, I'm going to go find my project that we were just looking at. It's called Swift. I'll look that one up, and then I'm going to go to actions, and I'm going to move to the trash. Now keep in mind, Jira does warn you, you're moving this to the trash. You got 60 days to change your mind. But let's assume I ignore that warning and I go to the trash and I permanently delete it. And what this basically means at this point is this project, along with its issues, so the data is gone. Okay, the configurations are still inside of Jira. But this is where we're going to go to the next step, right? Let's assume that whoever did this, whether intentful or accidentally, let's just say that they also go in and also remove those configurations. Well, luckily for you, Revyz handles both. It handles the data, your issues, the project, and it handles the configuration. So things like your workflows, your issue types, custom fields, things like that. So what we're going to go do next is we're going to delete these issue types and the custom field. So here we go. We're going to look up Apple. Here's my issue type. I'm going to just come in here, delete this one. Okay. Again, Jira's yelling at me, don't do this, right? Because you can't undo it. And so we're going to ignore that warning, delete it. We're going to come over here. We're going to go to favorite, and we're going to find our favorite animal, and we are going to delete it as well. And now a disaster has officially struck, right? So what do we do now? Well, if you don't have Revyz Data Manager for Jira, you're probably going to go cry in a corner somewhere because you're done. Like, you have to recreate everything. But luckily for you, you followed the advice from this video and you went and already got your Revyz Data Manager installed in Jira. And so you're just going to go to your backups. So let's take a look at what that looks like. So once that disaster strikes, we're just going to go to apps. We're going to go to manage our apps. And on the left-hand side, we're going to scroll down and we're looking for our Revyz Data Manager. So we're going to click on backup, and you want to do a couple of things here. Number one, whenever a disaster strikes, you want to take a baseline backup, right? You want to just make sure that even though you have bad things, right, corrupted stuff, you still want to take a backup, because what we want to do is we want to compare this level of corruption or just disaster with a known good status. So I got a backup that was done automatically because Revyz will do a backup every single night. So I have a backup from this morning that basically captured my issues and my configurations and all its integrity as it was as of like 5 or 6 hours ago. I'm about to kick off a backup, and I'm going to show you how easy that is because it does take a few minutes. So I'm going to kick off a backup to capture my data as it is right now with all the stuff gone. And again, this is critical because Revyz is going to go look at that good source data, yesterday's backup or last night's backup, and it's going to compare it to the current backup, which is the corrupted one, and it's going to help me find those deltas. And from those deltas is where I'm going to be able to cherry pick the data that I actually want and put it back into a good known state. So now you're going to see that that backup that I just started is now running, and it's going to take a few minutes to run, right? It's grabbing all your issues from all your projects. It takes a few seconds per project. So you're going to have to multiply the number of projects you have, right, times a few seconds to get a couple minutes worth of backup. And then it's going to go do all your configuration. So think about your workflows, your issue types, your custom fields, your screens, your screen schemes, all the schemes in the world. It's doing everything, right? And in fact, while this is running, I want to take you over to support.revyz.io. I'll link down below. We're going to click on Revyz Data Manager for Jira. And then over here, we have capabilities. And you should look at this because this is going to show you everything that you need to know about Revyz. So you have all of their privacy information, how they do their backups, all the good stuff, all the legal stuff that you really care about. And then as you keep scrolling down, you're going to start seeing like, how is Revyz different, or what does Revyz actually do for you? So it's going to show you what check marks, what it does currently. And then as you keep scrolling down, you will see what happens between the backup and the restore. And so you may be wondering, what is the difference between backup and restore, right? Well, we'll get into that in a second, but just know that on here, you'll see what is actually supported today, what's not supported, and what's on the roadmap. And then even some commentary like API limitations, because keep in mind that Atlassian does put significantly more limits in the cloud than it does or did on the on-premise versions of Jira. So these vendors that make these backup solutions in the cloud, they do have special rules that they have to abide by, and there's certain limitations. So not everything's possible in the cloud. But as you can see here, it is a pretty extensive list, and I have been working with Revyz to get a couple more items captured that should be on the roadmap. So we are working on making some improvements, and I'll show you a couple of gotchas in a little bit. So let's go back to our backup and let's see if it's done. Okay, so once your backup is complete, we are ready to do our restoration. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go to clone, and we are going to initiate a self site. And what this means is we're not gonna be coming from a sandbox to production. We're not gonna go from another cloud environment to this cloud environment. We're going to just simply within this particular site, self-contained, we're gonna bring back data. So let me show you how to do that. So we're gonna click on clone, and we're gonna click on project. We are going to go to our source. We want a snapshot that has the configurations that are good. So you don't want the backup we just did because this backup is bad. This backup doesn't have all that data. So we want to go to the one right before it. And then we want the latest backup. So the destination needs to be the current one. So we're going to click on show projects. And this is going to show us everything we got here. And now all we got to do is find our project right here. And we have the option to give it a new name, a new key if we wanted to, but we don't want to do that. But what we do want to do is we want to restore the issue. So make sure you slide this slider, and very subtly, this is very, very important. This is telling you where do you want to bring your issues back from. And it is being defaulted to the backup we just ran. We don't want to do that because that backup doesn't have the data. So we want to go to a backup that does have the data. Okay, so maybe yesterday's backup or the day before, right? It's up to you. This scenario is going to be specific to you, but make sure you change this. Otherwise, it's going to bring back the issues incorrectly, and it's not going to actually bring anything back because that last backup that we just ran doesn't have anything in it. So keep that in mind. Number two, Revyz is aware of this, and they're going to change this to default to the source backup, the first backup that we just picked. So once you pick the right stuff, again, for now, you're going to click on review dependencies. And then this is going to go do its magic. It's going to go and find everything. So as I expand dependencies, we're going to see that we have the fields, my favorite animal that was missing. We got our issue types, Apple that was missing. And this is good. This is exactly what we want. So we're going to click on view summary. We're going to click on clone. We're gonna type in an optional note, and then we're gonna type in your name here of ApeTech Engineering. This is gonna be your specific site. Click on clone, and now we're gonna let Revyz do its thing. All right, so once the restoration is complete, let's just go confirm that it actually all came back. So I'm gonna go to projects, I'm gonna go to view all projects, I'm gonna type in my key, Swift. As you can see, my project is there. That's really, really good news. I can click into it. We're gonna see all of my issues, awesome. And most importantly, we're gonna click in this Swift 12. We're gonna see that this is the original issue type, Apple, that we had. And down here, we have our favorite animal, penguin. So as you can see, everything is brought back just the way we would expect it. So make sure that you prepare for a disaster before it strikes. Use the link in the description, start your 30-day trial to Revyz Data Manager for Jira, and you'll thank me later. That's it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next one.